next time you come back up, let yourself stay upright there, sitting nice and tall, letting your arms come on out beside you here now. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. And then we'll reverse our arms. Inhale the hands right up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms on back out and down. And let's make one big circle with our arms. Bring your arms forward and, just pay attention to your shoulders. Bring them up and as far back as you can. Don't force anything. Just kind of wake up your shoulders. And then we'll reverse the direction. Start reaching back first and then out and up over the top. And let them come on back down. Good. And take a nice inhale here. And on the exhale, let's twist to our right. Bring yourself on around into your twist. Wake up your spine. Be really mindful there of feeling your sitting bones drawing down equally and feeling that twist in the middle of your back. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come on back around through center and go all the way into the other direction. So again, feeling those sitting bones drawing down, lengthening up through the top of your head. Good. One more inhale. And on your exhale, come on back around into center again. And let's just stretch our legs out, whether we're on the floor or in our chair. Let your legs come out long and just let your feet circle around a little bit. You can go opposite directions or same direction. It doesn't matter, whatever feels good. Just feel your ankles and reverse directions a couple of times so you move through different directions with your feet. And then do a little bit of pedaling too, so you flex and point 1 foot at a time just to get yourself feeling the backs and the tops of the legs. Good. And then we'll finish off. If you're cross-legged and you're coming back, put the other leg in front, so you switch the other leg in front for your crossed legs. And then again, let's come on forward and back with our breath. So letting your exhales bring you forward and your inhales bring you back up. And again, that gentle rocking, very quieting motion, but just feeling like it is your breath moving you forward and back. Good. And the next time that you come back upright, let yourself stay there. And let's float our arms on out beside us up into a T position. Let your palms face down. Reach out through your fingertips. Kind of feel the weight of the arms without tensing up the tops of the shoulders. So let yourself imagine your arms are growing out of your back, really. And then let's bring our right arm on top of our left. Give ourselves a hug. Let your elbows melt down. You can bring your chin down if that feels good. And if you like to turn your head a little bit, kind of move your head around a little bit, do that. Whatever feels good right there between the shoulder blades on the back. And then come on back to look forward. You can decide whether you want to stay there. You can slide to half eagle, sliding the back of the left hand to the outside of your right elbow if you want. Or you can come into your full backs of the hands towards each other, full eagle arm wrap if you choose. Letting yourself feel the shoulders melt down. Open up there between the shoulder blades on your back. Good, and we're going to release to unwind. Come back into that T position. Bring yourself back into reaching out through the fingertips. Soften your shoulders down. And then we'll bring the left arm on top of the right. So again, hug it first. And again, let your chin come down. Or maybe, you like to roll a little bit through your head. Maybe you like to just look sideways. Just experiment a little bit. Feel where you really need to release the most. Let it feel good. And then when you're able to bring your gaze forward, again, you can slide to that half wrap or go into your full wrap. If you want to slide the back of your right hand to the outside of your left elbow, you can. Pressing them gently into each other there, the back of your hand into the outside, or come into your full wrap if you want. Whatever feels the best, remember. Just enjoy. Feel that sense of opening up that space between the shoulder blades on your back. One more breath. And then we're gonna unwind our arms on down here, kind of shake your hands out a little bit. We're gonna come into a seated forward bend. So those of you on the floor, if you'd rather stretch your legs out, do. If you're fine to stay cross-legged, do. In your chairs, you can put your elbows above your knees to support yourself with that long back, or you can go ahead on down with your hands if it feels okay in your back. Same thing if you're on the floor. How far out you go with your hands, totally up to you. But just let your head hang, let yourself breathe, release, and really feel that gentle, starting to feel that gentle stretch in your low back and your hips. One more breath. And we're going to slowly make our way on back up. And let yourself take your time, shake out a little bit, stretch your legs out if you need to. We're going to head around towards our hands and knees. So, you know, if you don't want to be on your knees, don't be on your knees. You can get a blanket and put underneath your knees. You can be up on your chair with your hands so that you're standing instead of down on the floor on your knees. And if your wrists bother you, adjust how you need. You can come to fists. You can hold the edge of the seat of your chair. You can come down onto your forearms if you want to for cat-cow. You know that. Just start to ease your way through your back. Let yourself enjoy letting the tailbone initiate and then feeling yourself just move on up through your spine, whether you're headed into cat or cow. And remember, you know, you can breathe either way when you do cat-cows. Traditionally, it was always taught where you exhale to draw your navel towards your spine and round up into cat, and inhale when you send your tailbone back and up and move back through into your cow pose. But, you know, you can do the total opposite breath and be just fine. But again, just let yourself feel like you're gently flowing through your back with your breath. Almost kind of like a snake-like feeling, right? Finish off the one you're on, or the one you're moving into. And let's come to a more neutral spine here now. And let's come into our lunges, stepping our left foot forward and our right foot back. Now, you know your hands can be any height you want. You can use the highest height of your blocks. You can use the middle or the lowest. Or you can have your hands up on a chair, right? So just finding that reach back through that inner right heel just to open up through the back of the leg. Take your time. Just enjoy feeling your calf there and feeling the back of your knee. Good. We're going to switch legs. It doesn't matter how you do that. Come to the other side and let yourself again just find that openness in the back of that back leg. Give it time. Reach into that inner heel back there. Good. Let's switch legs again. So if you can engage a little bit deeper here, if you're imagining you're trying to make your mat longer with your feet, you kind of press them gently away from each other. And we'll switch legs one more time. So again, as you press the feet away from each other, feeling your hips engage a little deeper. Good. And let's come on forward into standing forward bend. Feet hips distance apart and parallel. And you know, be really mindful. If you know your back bothers you, support yourself however you need. You can have your elbows above your knees and have your back longer there. You can use your chair, you can use your blocks. If you're fine to go ahead and release forward over your legs and let your head hang, do. Just be mindful. Let that coming forward of your torso allow the backs of the legs to just gently open up. Watch your breaths coming in and going out. Good. One more nice full deep breath. And then then we'll bring our hands to our hips, press into our feet, and rise on up to standing. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down to be in front of our hearts. So coming into mountain pose, and if you need to adjust a little bit, do. You know, you may want to walk in place a little bit. You may want to look at your feet, make sure you're really even in your feet, as parallel as you feel comfortable to be. And bring your hands together to be in front of your chest there. For a second, lift your elbows up so you feel that connection there through each finger and through your palms, and you can feel your wrists a little more there. And then for a second, start to turn your fingertips forward and then down, and look down towards your hands, and your fingertips are facing towards the ground. And you're coming into still feeling your wrists because you're just gently pressing into your hands. And now when the hands come back into prayer hands, bring your gaze on back forward. Let the thumbs come in just where they want to be, towards your breastbone there. Feel your feet in the floor, coming into mountain pose. Grounded equally through your feet. Feeling that sense of your thighs gently engaging upward. And let your tailbone feel like it's reaching down towards between your heels. So your pelvis is aligned. Once you get all stacked up, it's easy to be here. And then we'll let our arms unfold right on down beside us. And inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale, we're going to bend our knees, come on forward into that standing forward bend again. Let your next inhale help you find a nice long flat back. So lengthening out through the spine. Your hands can be on your shins or your blocks or your chair. And we're going to step our right foot back to find lunge. Good. And inhale here. And on the exhale, we'll come into downward facing dog pose. Remember, you can put your hands on blocks to do a dog. You can have them on the floor or a chair. Letting yourself lengthen out through your spine. Now, it's your shoulders that'll kind of dictate where your hands would feel the best for your dog. So take your time. Let yourself walk a little bit, bending one knee at a time if you can in your down dog, just to let one leg at a time stretch out a little more. Good. And then come on back to your full dog, and on the next inhale, we'll come out towards a plank. You don't have to go all the way into a push-up pose if you don't want. You can. You can put your knees down if you'd rather and do a half, or if you choose, you can go onto your forearms and get out of your hands. Finding that core strength there of your plank pose, reaching your sitting bones down towards your heels. Good, and then we're going to come on back again into that downward facing dog pose. Again, reaching back equally through your sitting bones. Feel your elbows just softly hugging a little towards each other. So you have that engagement in the shoulders. And from here, we'll bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. Now, however you need to do that, you can put your left knee down if you need to. Whatever works to come back into lunge. And then we'll step back forward into our standing forward bend. Again, feet hips distance apart and parallel, and just be mindful. I know a lot of you are fine to fold forward and hold your own elbows, and that sense of tractioning that way feels good to you. That's not for everybody's back. Just be mindful. Relax now through your face and your jaw. Let yourself feel very soft all around your eyes and all around your mouth. And then we'll bend our knees, bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise up to standing and inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Come into your mountain pose again for a breath here now. Really feel your hands gently together. In fact, let yourself feel like your hands are just barely touching. Even though you spread your fingers out, but your hands are just barely touching, really lightly there. Feeling the feet in the floor now. Ground down into your feet by pressing the floor away from you with your feet. And then inhale your hands right up through the midline of the body. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings as you come forward into that standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back. Again, your hands can be where you like. Your legs, the blocks, your chair. And this time we'll step our left foot back to come into lunge. Good. And inhale. Exhale into that downward facing dog pose. So again, as you come into dog, it really totally depends on your shoulders, where you want to have your hands. On the chair, on the blocks, on the floor. Really find that sense of a long, long spine and equally long sides of your body as well, right? So you'll feel a stretch in the backs of the legs, and you'll also feel this nice length in the spine. Next inhale will bring us out to plank. Again, it's totally optional whether you do a full plank, a half plank, a forearm plank, whatever works for you. You're more than welcome to bend your elbows and let them come in towards your ribs. If you want to do push-ups or partial push-ups, or even just bend your elbows and stay for a little bit. And then we'll come on back into downward facing dog pose again. Reaching back equally through those sitting bones. And this time we'll bring our left foot forward to find lunge. And then we'll come all the way back forward into standing forward bend, feet hips distance apart. Watching your breath now. Really let your awareness stay with your breath all the way through. So you've watched your inhale all the way through. Feel that little space before you exhale, and watch the exhale come all the way out. A little space at the end of that before you inhale again. So nice, full, deep, fairly even breaths. Good, and then we'll let our hands come back up to our hips, bend our knees, rising on up. We'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come right down together in front of our hearts. Let's reverse and inhale the hands right on up through the midline. And on the exhale, open the arms like wings. Come on forward, back to standing forward bend. And on your next inhale, find that nice long back again. And this time we're just going to walk into down dog. So you can put your hands whatever height you want. Walk your way back into dog. Let yourself be really mindful. Bend your knees if you need to, or walk your dog a little bit if you need to. Good. And then on the next inhale, we'll come on out to that plank again. Now, totally optional here. You can do a back bend if you want. You can go into your up dog. You can come to the floor and do a Sphynx on your forearms, or a cobra, a little cobra. And then we'll make our way back again into downward facing dog pose. So take your time once you're in dog. If you need to wag your tail around a little bit, do, or walk or bend your knees. And then we're going to do that same thing again. We're going to come out towards that plank. And again, it is optional whether you do a back bend here, stay in your plank if you want, any form of a plank, or any form of a back bend if you want to. Good. And then we'll make our way again back into downward facing dog pose. And this time let's bring our right foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come all the way back into standing forward bend. And go right to your breaths. Easy breaths. Just receive those breaths and find those little spaces between your breaths. Feel like you're relaxing even deeper in those little spaces between your breaths. Good, and then we'll let our hands come on up to our hips, bend our knees and rise on up to standing, and we'll inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And as we exhale our hands down, think about the top of your head getting closer towards the ceiling. So it's like you got taller, feet grounded equally. If you need to kind of sway around a little bit to find your mountain pose, do. It's fine to let yourself move around a little bit. Feeling grounded through your feet, feeling like your head's floating in the clouds. See if you can just imagine you're being held up by the air all around you. So it's very easy to be in your mountain pose. slowly unfold our arms right on down beside us. Move around whatever you need. Shake out a little bit. If you're using your chair, you might want to turn it around. We're going to come into some warriors. So take your time, step your right foot back, and we'll come into warrior 2 first. So getting your heels about in a line, bending that left knee, making sure it's not going out beyond your toes, right? You can look at your knee, let yourself get really easy there and how you're bending your knee. It's not coming inward at all. And then we'll start to rise our arms up. Let's turn our palms up and let our elbows soften down a little bit, right? So you feel this sense of almost like you're holding something of equal weight in your hands. And you feel your shoulders soften down. You can look at the palm of the left hand there and just be really easy as you start to then turn your palms over and reach out through your fingertips into your warrior 2. So reach equally back through the right fingertips, forward through the left. Feel the feet gently pressing away from each other on the mat. So you're engaged here in your hips, very strong in your core, but still very relaxed through your shoulders. And then we'll turn the left palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let yourself have a nice full breath into the left side of the body. And on the exhale, we'll come into side angle. You can put your left hand or forearm on your thigh. It's not about how low you go. And if you want to add the right arm, you can. You can bring it up into line with the right side of your body with the palm facing down. You're more than welcome to keep the hand on your hip if you'd rather. Good. Feel equal through the sides of the body. Let yourself feel that sense of your right sitting bone reaching towards your right heel. And then we're going to come on back into warrior 2. Press those feet away from each other as you come. Good. Now bring your hands down. We're going to turn our feet more parallel as we face the right long edge of our mat and do a little 5-pointed star. Bring your arms out, straight out from your shoulders, and then let them come a little bit higher. And let yourself, when you're in 5-pointed star, think about your pelvis. In other words, you don't want to tuck your tailbone up under you, which really makes all these curves go crazy in your back, right? Reach your tailbone back a little bit. So if your feet were together underneath you, you're reaching a little behind your heels. Good. Now put your left hand down on the outside of your left leg. Bring your right arm up overhead and slide your left hand down the leg a little bit to come into side stretch here. So breathing into the right side of the body. Feel the ribs expand as you inhale. And now come on back up, and we're going to lower the right arm down and rise the left arm up. Right hand comes onto your leg. Slide that right hand down a little bit, down the outside of your leg, as far as you want to go. And then breathe into the left side. Really feel the breath doing the work for you. The breath is what expands the ribs. And then we'll rise on back up, bring your arms on down, and we're going to bend our knees and come forward. You can grab your blocks if you know you like a block or two. Grab a block if you need for underneath your hands. Once you get your hands down, keep your back long, okay? Whether your hands are on a block or the floor, and go ahead and bend one knee at a time. Let it feel good, and if it doesn't, don't do it. In other words, if your knees are objecting to that, don't do it. If you can find a nice release for your inner thighs that way, do. Good. And then finish back at center, and your knees can be bent or straight as you walk your hands over to the right. You might just want to shift your block over to the right. Or you might decide you want to walk over all the way and hold on to the outside of your right ankle or foot. That's up to you. Just take a couple breaths there. Let your body adjust. And then come on back through center, and we're going to go the other side. Again, you can stay up on the blocks. You go as far as you choose, and once you get to where you can go, try to just let your head release and stay there with your breath. Good. And then we'll walk back into center again. And now be aware of just getting to a place where you can really release your upper body in this pose. And that might mean you want to use support. You might want to use 2 blocks and put them underneath your forearms or your head. You may decide that you'd rather just hang and let your hands come towards the floor between your feet, or hold on to your own ankles, or, you know, there's a whole lot of different ways that you can be more released into this pose. So take your time. Remember, knees can stay bent. Knees can be straighter in the pose, whatever feels good. But just watch your breath. Once you get settled, watch your breath coming in and going out. See if you can let your inhales and exhales become fairly even. You can count when you breathe in, and maybe think of getting to that same count when you breathe out. Good. Now when we get ready to rise up, it's up to you how you do that. You may decide you want your feet to come closer together before you come up, or you may want to wait till you get up and then bring them closer together. So take your time, move around a little bit if you need to, walk around if you need to, move through your feet. We're going to come to the other side. So we'll step our left foot back now, coming into Warrior Two. So getting that left foot about parallel to the back edge. Bending that right knee again, looking at it, making sure, you know, that you're not letting that knee come inward. You're sending it out over the center of your foot. And then once you get stable there, and you float your arms up, and you turn your palms up and soften your elbows down, like you're, again, as you look towards that right hand, like you're holding some equal weighted things in your hands. I like to picture spinning balls, right? But you just let yourself soften your shoulders down. Now feel your feet in the floor. Feel very strong there. Your legs and your hips. We're going to turn the palms down and reach out now through the fingertips without tightening and tensing the shoulders, right? Still feeling like your arms are being held up from underneath, you know, under around your armpits instead of up over the top of your shoulders. One more breath. And then we'll turn the right palm up. We're going to inhale, reach up towards the sky. Let that left hand give you a little support back there on your left leg. Full breath into the right side. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So again, it's not about how low you go. You're welcome to come onto your forearm or your hand. You can use your chair if you want. And you can add that top arm if your shoulder lets you. You can always keep your left hand on your hip, remember. So finding that length through the spine. And letting yourself enjoy, feeling that sense of that long line down the left side of the body, but you're also not collapsing in the right side. It's long too. We're going to come on back into Warrior Two from there. Press those feet away from each other, get you right back into that core strength. And then we'll bring our hands down. We're going to turn our feet. They're going to be pretty parallel for this five-pointed star, right? So get them pretty wide, and then bring your arms on up a little higher than your shoulders. Let yourself, again, find that alignment of the pelvis. So if you tuck your tailbone forward, you can do it and see what happens. It makes everything go cockeyed, right? All the spine alignment gets kind of lost. See if you can reach your tailbone back and maybe down a little bit. Good. And let's lower our right hand to the outside of our right leg. Lift your left arm up higher and come sliding with that right hand down. Coming into side stretch here. Breathing and letting the breath expand the ribs on the left side of the body. We're going to come right back up, and we're going to switch our arms and bring that right arm up as the left arm comes down, and slide our left hand down a little bit. Stay to breathe into the right side. Good. We're going to come right back up again, lower the arms on down, and we're going to come forward to wide-legged forward bend. So again, if you need your blocks, grab your blocks. Totally up to you, you know that, whether you use blocks or the floor. Take your time again if you want to bend a knee at a time. And sometimes when you do this, it makes you want to have your feet be a little different distance apart. So, you know, you can always get more or less wide with how far apart your feet are. And then come on back into center. Bend your knees a little more deeply if they're not already bent. And if they are bent, just go pretty deep. And see if you can put your elbows right above your knees. So you're sending your tailbone back and you're coming into a flat back, supporting yourself with your elbows there. It's a squat. And just enjoy. One more breath. Good, and then again, as we decide to come into staying in the pose for a little bit, there might be any number of things that you want to do to get comfortable. So you can, again, use your blocks for support of your arms or your hands or your head. You can go ahead and hang upside down if you want to, with your hands back more towards between your feet. You know, just experiment. If you get to a place and you think, well, this feels comfortable, and then after a breath or two, you're like, yeah, no, I'm not staying here for a long time, then kind of switch. Grab support if you need it. You can always stay with your elbows above your knees in this pose, right? Which really supports that long spine. So just let yourself feel the breath in and out. Good. One more nice, deep, full breath. And now when you get ready to rise up, be really mindful. If you're dizzy at all, take your time. You can walk your feet together first, or you can wait till you get up and then walk them together. Walk around if you need to. Walk around your mat. And we're going to come into either having our chair turned with the seat to faces, or having both your blocks handy, right, at the front of your mat. So first we'll come into a lunge, stepping our left foot forward and our right foot back. And just find your lunge for a second there. Let it feel really good, right? You're kind of feeling that openness in the front of your right hip. And then let yourself bring your left hand to your hip and roll into a little twist there. Left your left hand, face palm down on your sacrum. If you want to stretch your arm up, you can. You don't need to. That's up to you. You can keep your hand right down. Feel your head as a part of your spine. Good. And then we're going to bring our hand on back down. And now we're going to adjust that right foot to the floor because we're going to come up for Warrior One, right? So you're going to need to think about using your core body as you bring yourself on up into your Warrior One. Now, if you get up there and you're like, whoa, this is not feeling balanced, feel free to separate your feet a little bit more, change your stance a little bit if you need to. Let your hands come to your heart and just enjoy coming into that Warrior One there. Remember, that front knee is a little bent, the back leg is straight, but think of both your arches of your feet lifting off the floor so that you're not rolling to the inside or the outside of your feet. Good, and let's release our arms on down beside us. And inhale the arms out and up into a wide V. Turn your palms towards each other. Let your pinkies turn towards each other. Maybe even look up a little bit higher if you can. Feel that lift in the front of the body. Really enjoy coming into that Warrior One. One more breath. And then bring your gaze back forward, lower your arms on down. We're going to bring our hands back down and come to lunge again. So let yourself come right back into that lunge. Release the heel directly behind you. And then we're going to step forward and get our feet right underneath our hips, hands right underneath our shoulders, either on the chair or the blocks. Let your feet get a little closer together and bend your knees. And then lift your right foot up off the floor. Now from here, we're going to shoot that leg back behind us into a little Warrior Three. Toes are facing down. You can let yourself stay there for a breath. And then bend both your knees and bring your right knee right beside your left one again. And now let's go right back to that Warrior Three. Let yourself stretch back into that long leg. It doesn't matter how high it is. Toes are facing down. Let's bend both the knees again. Let them come side by side. And then we'll go one more time into that Warrior Three. This time, if you want a little more, You can bring your left hand off the block or the chair to your heart, or you can always, bring it to the back of your chair if you have your chair there. Or you can keep your hand down and hold on and make sure you're not going to lose your balance there. So one more breath. And then we'll bring that foot on down. Separate your feet towards the outside edges of your mat for a second. Bend your knees and then let your elbows come to rest above your knees. If you want to squat down lower, go for it. If a full squat going all the way down with your hips towards the ground feels good, go for it. Just be really mindful. If you're going down, make sure it's okay in your knees and your hips. Good. So one more breath there. And now take your time. When you start to come on back up, we'll rise ourselves back up. Kind of walk your feet together, and then just kind of start to let yourself swing your arms from side to side. And as they swing, once the momentum starts, they kind of want to wrap around your body. That's kind of where they want to go, right? They come back in towards you. So see if you can, and it's a little twist involved. You actually turn your chest to go to one side and then the other. Feels really easy and relaxing little twist. And you want to be really mindful that your knees feel okay. So, and then finish off. Come on back into center. And we're going to do all this on the other side. So we're going to have either our chair or our blocks under our hands and step our left foot back and come into that lunge. So take your time, get into your lunge at first. And again, you really want your hands at that place where you're going to be able to, lift the right hand up into that twist. So get mindful of where you're supported. And then when you're ready, bring your right hand to your right hip, roll that shoulder up, let yourself come into twist. Again, whether you add that top arm or not is totally up to you and your shoulder. So staying down with the hand, if it feels better in your shoulders, trying to stay fairly level in your hips in the twist here. Good. And then we're going to come on back down with our hand. Now remember, we're going to set up for that warrior one. So the back foot, if it can come down to the floor, and the hard part is lifting up from here. Using your core body to get yourself up, hands to the heart into your warrior one, right? So if you get up there and you're like, well, this doesn't feel right, then just adjust your feet. You can get wider, you can get longer or shorter. Let yourself be mindful of that front knee. Remember, you don't want it to bend out beyond your toes. You can look at your knee. And then let your arms release. Now be aware of the openness in the front of your left hip here. As you inhale your arms out and up into that wide V, turn your pinkies more towards each other. So your arms are straight, but you're trying not to lift your shoulders up. It's that same arms growing out of your back feeling. It's like the muscles that wrap around under here is what are supporting your arms, not the tops of your shoulders. Let yourself inhale up the front of your body and exhale down the back of your body. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release. Let our arms come down. We're going to come back to that lunge. So again, you can have your hands on your chair. You can have them on your block. Come back to release that left heel directly behind your foot for a second. Good, and that feels like a kind of a release there. Now we're going to step forward with the left foot and get it right underneath us. So our feet are hips distance apart or a little closer together. Bend both your knees. Lift the left foot up. And then send it back into that warrior three where your legs are coming straighter. Now if you have to bend, especially that supporting knee a little bit, do. One more breath here. And then bend both the knees, bring them side by side. You're still standing on your right foot. And then we're going to stretch back again into that warrior three. Let the toes face down. Feel the belly engaging. And then one more time, bring the knee in beside your right knee. And then one more time, stretch out. Now, whether you decide to let go of your right hand from support or not is up to you. Sometimes I like to just put it on my back or my chest. I love the chair there because you can actually put your right hand up onto the back of your chair if you want. Be supported, but a little bit more into the legs and hips. One more breath. And then we're going to release and come down. Separate your feet towards the outer edges of your mat again. And again, squat of choice, right? Elbows above the knees if that's better for you. Coming down if you want, letting your hips release down and coming into a squat if that feels okay in your knees and your hips. Just be really mindful, right? Don't do anything that you're going to be sorry for tomorrow. Good. So from here, we're going to slowly make our way back up. And we're going to come all the way up to standing. So get your feet right underneath you, rising on up. Let's inhale our arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, coming into mountain just as easily as you can. So you really do feel like your head is floating up towards the ceiling, that you're grounded through your feet. You're very lightly connecting there with your hands. It really does almost feel like you're floating from the waist up. So if you were a mountain, you'd be strongly based, but your head would be up in the clouds. See if you can just enjoy. Feeling the energy flowing through your body, finding that lightness in the upper body. Nice, and then we're going to release and come on down. Shake out just a little bit. And we are going to come right on down onto our bellies on the floor from here. So you can just move your chair on off to the side if you have one and down and let yourself release onto your belly. Make a little pillow with your hands if you can, so that you let your forehead rest on your hands, if that's comfortable, you know that. Whatever feels good. And then just bend your knees, let your feet move around a little bit. You can do little circles, you can let your legs go side to side. The lower legs can do the windshield wiper blades if that feels good. Good. And then come on back and let your legs stretch down long again. Come on to the tops of the toes. Press into the tops of your toes and feet and let your knees lift up. Your legs straighten. Your knees come off the floor. But keep your belly engaged. Feel how your tailbone's reaching down a little bit here. Good. And then come on to releasing your legs again. And let's come up onto our forearms into a Sphynx Pose, letting our elbows come fairly close to under our shoulders if we can. Now, if that's too much, you can go down lower. You can have your elbows down more towards your waist or up more, right? So that this back bend is totally up to you and how it feels. So take your time. One more breath. Good. And let's come into a little forearm plank here. So you can lift your hips up and bend your knees and come into that half forearm plank. Now, if you'd rather let your hands come back together, you can. Or you can keep your hands apart and let yourself be like you are in Sphynx. So it kind of depends on your shoulders. Maybe you want to bring your hands together because it feels better and clasp them and send your pinky out. Or maybe you want to be up on your forearms with the hands apart. So just take your time. Feel that strength here in the core body. Try to pull yourself towards the front of your mat. Good. One more breath. And then we're going to release down and bring your left forearm parallel to the front edge of your mat. You can rest your head on your arm there and bend your right knee and flex your right foot. So from here, if you feel okay to lift your head up, do. Right here is a half bow. You do not have to be reaching back to get your foot to feel your quad right here, and you're also in a little bit of a back bend if you lift your head up. Now, some of you I know want to reach back and get your foot because it feels good. So if you want to get your foot, you can hold on to the top of the foot. You can kind of pull your heel in towards your buttocks by pulling a little bit to feel your quad. And then the other thing you can do is push the foot into your hand like you're trying to straighten your leg, and you might come up into that bit of a back bend again. So pushing the top of the foot into the hand really engages the quad there. One more breath, and then we'll come on back down. We're going to switch our arms. So now you're on your right forearm with your head, and you're going to bend your left knee and flex the foot. You already feel the quad a little bit there, and then when you rise your head up, right there is like a half bow, and that's work right there. You don't have to reach back with your hand. If you choose to reach back to try to get hold of the top of the foot, sometimes letting yourself just gently pull the heel in towards your buttocks really stretches out your thigh, obviously. And then that pushing of your foot into your hand and letting yourself feel that engagement of your quad is even different. And you can come up a little bit again with your torso coming up a bit. Good. We're going to come on right back down from there. We're going to release our arms down alongside our body. Turn your palms down towards the ground. And on your next inhale, float up into a little locust pose. Using your back body now to lift your legs, your arms, your chest. Be mindful. Try not to look forward and tighten up the back of your neck, though. Look down towards the ground. Let it feel really good. One more breath. And then we're going to release down and shift back towards child's pose to release our backs here. So you can stay with your hips way up in the air for child's pose. You know that. Totally up to you how you feel as far as your knees in your child's pose and your hips. So if you're up more with your hips, you can still rest your head down and let yourself feel a release in your low back and your hips. If it feels good to shift your hips all the way back down towards your heels, you know you're welcome to keep your arms soft overhead, or you can bring them back alongside your legs and turn your palms up if you're comfortable to be that way. So just be mindful. Really let yourself bring your awareness to your breath and feel like you're expanding your low back as you inhale. You feel that huge release in the low back, breathing into the low back. Good. One more breath. And then go ahead and bring your hands back by your knees. We're going to come up to sitting. And so we're going to stretch our legs on around in front of us. And you may want to grab a blanket to sit on. Definitely want to get those straps. So even if you don't want to sit on a blanket, go reach over and get your strap. And remember, if you need to be up, if forward bending to you is much more comfortable to have your hips up higher. Are there some up here? There's a whole bunch over here. Is that right there?
Helen.
Hey there. So take your time, take your strap, and bring the strap onto the ball of your right foot. And let yourself, see if you can get the strap across the base of your big toe mound and your little toe mound. And then bring your left foot in wherever it feels comfortable. Like for me, sometimes I need support. If my knee feels a little wonky or my hip, sometimes just putting a block underneath this, especially, maybe not so much when I'm sitting up tall, but especially if I start to draw myself forward, if I feel anything in that knee or hip, then I'll put a block underneath it to help support it. And if that doesn't help, you can always stretch that leg out, right? So don't do anything that puts pressure in an uncomfortable fashion into your knee or your hip. So as you come forward, you might like to just move a little bit. You know, it might feel good to inhale into a long spine, and then when you exhale, come forward a little bit. And it doesn't mean you have to, you're not trying to fold yourself down over your leg, right? You're just trying to keep a nice long back, and you're feeling the back of your leg, obviously. But you're taking your time to let yourself come forward and back. And if you're more comfortable to come forward and stay forward, then come forward and let yourself stay forward. I mean, you can walk your hands down closer towards your foot if that feels good. I know some of you might even want to, grab your toes and let yourself come forward there, but just be mindful, we're all built differently, so just be where you can. Feel that engagement of the heel onto the ground, drawing back towards you a little bit. Good. Watch your breath all the way in and out. And then we're going to slowly come up. Now keep the strap on your foot. Let this foot come out a little bit to the side. Just a little bit, right? And then you're holding on with your right hand to your strap. And bring your left arm up overhead. And then all you're going to do is just bend your elbow a little bit and come over into a side stretch right here. And it does not have to be far. Right? Just let yourself breathe into that left side of the body. Good. One more breath. And then slowly, we're going to come on back up. And you can use your strap to help you bring that foot back, because all we're going to do is put the other foot in the strap. So just replace that one. And again, have your block handy if you need it. Have that heel on the ground. The foot's directly forward of your hip. You're going to sit up tall and pull the heel back towards you, so you're very engaged in your leg right now, in this long left leg, so that when you do move forward and back a little bit, you know, you're still pulling the heel down and back, so you're engaged in the front and the back of your leg. And again, you know, this is up to you. You may decide that you'd like to come a little forward and stay. You may decide you need to move a little bit more. Or you may decide to come forward and stay and then gradually make your way farther forward. And again, that is up to you. Don't force anything. So one more breath. And be easy as you come back up. Remember, you're going to hold your strap with your left hand, and you're going to open the leg out to the side a little bit. And you got to kind of be comfortable there, reaching up through the right side. And then just bend your elbow and let yourself come over into that side stretch and breathe into that side. And again, if there's anything wonky going on in your right knee, put a block under it or stretch the leg long if you need to. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself release to come on back up. And you can take the strap on off our foot. We're going to bring our soles of our feet towards each other into Baddha Konasana. So remember, if you feel better when you bring your feet together like this to have them farther out away from you, have them farther out away from you. If you feel fine to let them come in closer, just make sure it's not forcing you to sit like this, right? So you want to be able to sit up nice and tall. And you can rest your hands if you want, like right at your knees with your palms facing outward. If that doesn't feel good, you can let your hands rest wherever you want to, right? But just sit up nice and tall for a couple of breaths. And give your hips time to release, right? So just let the pose do the work for you. You're not trying to do anything. Just sitting in the pose, lengthening upward, letting just that weight of when your legs are out beside you like this. And of course, you can use blocks if you want to. Good. Well, one more breath here. And the next time you exhale, twist to your right. Let yourself come around. I like to just put my left hand on my feet, right? You can do it wherever you want. You can go wherever you want to in this twist, letting your hands go wherever you choose. You can go to your knee if you'd rather. Let yourself enjoy. Lengthen upward through the top of your head. Feel your sitting bones. Drawing down. One more inhale. And on the exhale, come on back around through center and just keep on going all the way in the other direction. Again, it's not necessary for you to bring your hands to any certain place. Again, feel the sitting bones in the ground. Feel that twist in the middle of your back. Good. One more breath. And now as you easily come on back into center, just stay for one more breath there. Let yourself lengthen up. And then you can use your hands to help you bring your knees on back up and stretch your legs on out in front of you. Shake out a little bit. And we're going to come down onto our backs on the floor. So before you do, if you want to have a block or two handy, do it, because we'll do a little bridge pose. So just in case, if you feel like a little supported bridge pose might feel good. And then when you come down to the floor, bring your knees on in towards your chest and take your time. You may want to go side to side, or you might want to circle your knees. It really kind of depends on how you feel there in your low back and your sacrum. Just be mindful. Let it feel really like you're finding release, whether you circle or go side to side. Good. And then let yourself bring your right knee in, whether you hold behind your thigh or on your shin, and extend your left leg down long on the floor. Flex through both your feet. Just enjoy feeling that nice sense of coming into flexing through both the feet and feeling the natural curves come back into your spine. And then we'll switch our legs, so bringing that left knee in, extending the right leg down long. Again, you can hold behind your thigh. You can hold at your shin below your knee. Flex through both your feet. Feel your leg gently coming into your hands. And again, there's all that alignment now in your spine. You've got all those natural curves. Good. And then let's put the right foot on the floor. Bring your left foot to the floor too. Set up a little for your bridge pose here. So whatever you need to do as far as adjusting how far apart your feet are, how far away they are from your hips. But go ahead and bend your elbows to 90 degrees. Let your palms face each other like a robot and press into the backs of your arms. Right away your chest floats up, right? You can roll your shoulder blades under more. And then if you keep pressing into your arms, maybe you can float your hips up. And it might be a little bit. It might be that you feel like, oh, I just can rise up really high because it feels like a relief. And that is totally up to you. You know that. How high you come up, you're going to feel bridge pose in your thighs. But you don't want to feel bridge pose in your back, right? You want your feet to still stay fairly parallel. They are wider apart than they are in mountain pose. And of course, if you want to move up and down in bridge, you can. Or if you want to grab the block and put it underneath your low back there and let yourself relax onto the block in supported bridge, you can. Just remember the placement of that block. If you put it up too high up into the middle of your back, that's not so good, because then your bottom hangs off and it really is not aligning you very well. So get it to where you're on that flat part of your sacrum there at the base of your spine, and you can just be supported. And you can play however you want. You can stay on the block and just relax. You can press into your feet, lift up and down off the block if you like to do that. I know some of you like to stretch a leg down on the floor long so that you open up the front of your hips that way. I mean, you can do both legs at the same time if you want to. But you know, everybody in here has different ways to feel like they're playing and having a good time on their supported bridge. So if you want to lift your legs up, do. Just be mindful, and if you're still doing full bridge and just moving up and down, just take your time. You know, you don't need to wait for me to come down from bridge pose ever. Now, letting yourself, if you can, release on down. Take your time. If you're on the block, just be really mindful. And let's let our arms come out beside us and kind of up almost to a T position. They can be a little lower. It's up to you, or higher. But let's cross our right thigh over our left thigh, okay? Let your knees come a little bit to the right, so you're shifting to the inside of that left foot. And then come back over through center and go a little bit the other way. So you go to the outside of that left foot on the floor. So you can do a couple of those, just kind of moving the knees back and forth, just to let yourself feel. And if you want, you can go deeper when you go to one side. And you may decide that one side doing this feels really great and the other side is like, no way, that you don't want to go very deeply, right? And you can, if you want, go and stay in one of these. Let yourself just releasing the knees towards the ground and release into a little twist there. Take your time. So one more breath wherever you are. If you've come to light down on one side, just stay there for another breath. And then we'll bring the knees on back up. We're going to uncross our legs and kind of straighten your spine out if you feel a little bit crooked-eyed there. And then we're going to bring our left thigh on top of our right. So it's thigh over thigh. And then again, the knees just a little bit at first. Start really small. Or you just shift kind of to the top of one hip to the other and from the inside to the outside of that right foot on the floor. And then again, if you want to gradually get deeper with the knees going, do it. If you don't, don't. Or if you want to go one way and stay that way, right? And let the knees just stay and just breathe. And that might be either direction. It feels very different when you come one side to the other when you're crossed like this. Good. So let yourself finish off so you can uncross your legs again. Good. Straighten out a little bit if you need. And then bring your knees on in. And if a little happy baby pose sounds really good to you, go right ahead, send your feet on up, slide your knees on out. If you'd rather do a little Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet towards each other, do that. So in other words, just start to listen to what feels good to you. What's going to bring you a little release here? You may even decide you want to do a wide angle there on your back, or you may want to send your feet up in the air and kind of do a little kind of cross-country ski motion up there, or a little bicycling with your legs if that feels good. So take your time. You know, just give your body a chance to do what it needs to do. It's going to help you be able to release more easily. I'll start to get the lights. And then I'll start to bring any kind of support that sounds good for people. Remember, we have a leaf blanket, so
You have blanket?
bed. You want cover for cover or your head?
For cover.
one, let me know. So let yourself receive your breaths in and out. So there's nothing really you need to do in order to breathe. Just accept if the breath gets a little shallower, you come back from off into a thought and your breath needs to deepen again. Just go with that wave of your breath. Giving your body and your brain time here to get benefit in whatever way you need from all you just did. Finding those little quiet places where the mind becomes a little more still. And allowing yourself to completely and fully relax.